Today on Upfront, stunning new revelations about the handling of evidence in the now defunct John Doe probes. Thousands of emails seized and left unsecured, some of them highly personal. Senator Leah Vukmir, whose personal emails were swept up in the probe, reacts next on Upfront. Then a sudden spike in overdose deaths in southeast Wisconsin. What more can be done to stop this epidemic? And why graduate students across the country are worried about the Republican tax overhaul.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Upfront. Some conservatives in Wisconsin are calling for resignations or firings in the wake of the latest John Doe developments. The investigation of alleged campaign coordination between Governor Walker and conservative groups may be over, but last week, Attorney General Brad Schimel issued a scathing report criticizing the way parts of the investigation were handled. He said the former Government Accountability Board mishandled documents, emails, and other evidence collected in the investigation and left them unsecured. Let's walk through this for a moment. John Doe 2, as it's known, was the probe into alleged coordination between Governor Walker's campaign and conservative groups during the 2012 recall election. The Wisconsin Supreme Court formally ended the Doe probe in 2015 and ordered attorneys and staff involved to turn over documents and data seized. But many of those documents and emails were leaked to the news organization, The Guardian, which published them in 2016. The State Department of Justice, the DOJ, launched an investigation into the leak. And while it was unable to identify the exact source, the 92-page report released last week details what materials were seized and how they were handled. DOJ investigators found evidence of a previously unknown John Doe 3 probe and hundreds of thousands of seized emails and chats, some of them highly personal. An example, DOJ says the Doe investigators obtained, categorized, and maintained over 150 personal emails between Senator Leah Vukmir and her daughter, including emails containing private medical information and other highly personal information. We're talking more about what happens next with Republican Senator Leah Vukmir, who is now running for the U.S. Senate. Senator, it's good to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be here.
Let's begin with your reaction to what you learned in the report that was issued last week.
Hey, well, absolutely horrified to hear that personal emails between my daughter, myself, emails including medical information, were obtained and placed on a hard drive, and a place that also many people had access to. So I'm not given any assurance that that information can now be contained and obtained by the Supreme Court and destroyed. It is out there. And this is such an egregious overreach of government. And this is why I'm outraged, why my colleagues in the legislature are outraged, those who have been affected. Ultimately, Mike, this is the reason why I authored the bill to dismantle the GAB. When we followed, and you just discussed, the events leading up to all of this, when we understood what was going on to the folks that were part of the John Doe 2 investigation, to the extent to which their homes were raided, pre-dawn raids in front of their children, I felt compelled to stand up and say we need to reform the GAB. And because of my doing that, that put me in the sights of the GAB, and I'm certain that this was politically motivated. Why else would there be a file that says oppositional research? My emails are put in a file that say opposition research.
So to be clear, you did not know that this kind of information about you or emails between you and your daughter, you did not know these were being collected until this report came out?
That's right. I did not receive any subpoena, warrant, notice whatsoever.
And you said, you described this as horrifying, but you also said emotionally painful.
Well, I had to call my daughter. Imagine this. I had to call my daughter and say, Elena, this is what has happened. And within 10 minutes, she was receiving text messages from people back home who were starting to hear the reports. That's not a call you want to make to your child. And it's very unfortunate. And it really calls to question how a government agency can operate this way. Is this really America? You know, as a child, as a teenager, I remember a story. I was in Greece. It was shortly after a military takeover of the government. And something that really left an impression on me was that my family did not want to speak in their home about the government and instead ushered us to the beach where they felt they could speak freely. Yet this is America. And that same thing is actually happening here. And if we don't stand up, and despite the fact that I have been victimized here and that I'm a target, I plan on continuing to lead this fight. It steals my resolve for not only fixing the problem here, but also it steals my resolve for running for the U.S. Senate, because we need people who are not going to be afraid to take this on.
So what happens now? I mentioned in the introduction to this segment that there are some conservatives, Senator Steve Noss, one of them, saying that 4 individuals who are currently working for the Ethics Commission and the Elections Commission, the successor to the GAB, 4 of those people should resign. Some people are saying they should be fired. What do you think should happen?
If those individuals were part of this, and they are listed in the report and they have any knowledge whatsoever, absolutely, I agree with Senator Noss. And we're looking at every single option that we have moving forward. I am personally looking at legal options. And then legislative options. What other oversight needs to be put in place here? Clearly, I believe we made a great change when we dismantled the GAB board and put into place the 2 new commissions. But again, something like this tells us, is there more that we can do? And I've already begun discussions with Senator Dave Craig, and we will look at what other things that we can do from a legislative perspective, what we can do from a personnel perspective, and then personally from a legal perspective.
I was going to say, how would you fire the people who are currently working there? How would that process work?
We're in the process of looking at that. Again, it's just very early. This report just came out. We're still sifting through it. I've read through it a couple times, and again, it is very overwhelming, but it also makes me more resolved to make sure that something like this cannot happen again at any level of government. I mean, we need to make sure this doesn't happen at any level of government, federal, state, local. It's wrong, it's corrupt, and people should be held accountable.
I do want to ask you about you mentioned that you were one of the people who said that the GAB should be done away with because it was not working the way it was intended. Correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe you voted for the GAB to be created initially. So my question is, was it a bad idea, or was it just an idea that was not executed in the way it should have been?
Well, certainly you remember the whole caucus scandal, right, and then that precipitated, let's look at this and change. It was a bipartisan piece of legislation that created the GAB. And look, you know, one of the things that I think all people should understand is that just because we create a law, you know, there may be unintended consequences. And it's our job as policymakers to make sure that we're continually overseeing the laws that are put in place. And if they're not working, we have to change them. And so ultimately, once the revelations about these John Does came about, we realized, look, there's problems here. There's problems with the John Doe law. There are problems with the GAB. And so that is why it is incumbent upon us to be ever vigilant. This whole story speaks to the need to be ever vigilant to protect our freedoms. Because it's very hard for me to believe that in America, something like this, my personal emails, not just mine, there are other legislators, other staff members in the building, their personal communications are out there, and we have no guarantee that they will be destroyed. We have no guarantee that other people don't have access to them. This is not America. And this is very chilling. It has a chilling effect on free speech. It has a chilling effect on people who may want to run for office. It's wrong, and we have to make sure that we stop it.
Senator Leah Vukmir is the state senator from Brookfield. She's currently running for the U.S. Senate. Thanks very much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Coming up later on Up Front, the Republican tax overhaul on the fast track, why some students and researchers across the country are worried about what it could mean for them. But first, the sudden spike in overdose deaths in Milwaukee County. We'll ask what, if anything, can be done to save these lives. That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.